Tuesday's Top Tips. This is Alicia Alt, founder of Level Up Score, and I'm so glad that you are here today. I am going to talk about a topic that I believe is actually going to change how you think about growing your business. Okay, so I'm going to give you some things to do. These are actionable things that you can do in your business right away so that you can start to grow your business. And the best thing about this is you don't need more leads. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. So if you're struggling with getting leads, this message is for you because that's not what you have to do in this. So I have my notepad here because I want to make sure that I deliver everything that I want to talk to you about today. And I really want you by the end of this live to know exactly where maybe you're leaking time, energy, and revenue in your business and exactly how to fix that. Okay. So thank you again for being here. This is Tuesday Top Tips. I'm here every week at 12 noon to give you a top tip of the week. And I'll at the end of this live, I'll tell you what next week's is. Okay. So again, thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here myself and I'm looking forward to bringing this topic to you. So let me start here. Everyone thinks that you need more leads to grow your business, right? We always talk about how do we do more marketing? Where can we buy leads? How can we produce really good funnels to bring more clients in? But really, most businesses, especially in this credit space, actually need more efficiency per lead. So you actually get to retain them. So you think about it this way. Have you ever been in a situation where you've got hundreds of leads coming in, but then the conversion rate is really low? Or you got hundreds of leads coming in and they become a client, but then they cancel really soon after? So have you discovered like what would be the problem? What's creating that? And that's where you need to start. There's no reason to get hundreds of leads in, especially if you're paying for those leads and not be converting them, right? So again, we're going to talk about this today, and I want to get you to a place where you understand that you can stop chasing new people. And if you start focusing on improving your clients' experience, their retention, and their conversion, your business will grow faster, lots faster, and actually feel lighter. So, simplifying the system so that there's not more chaos. So, I don't know if you've been in the position like this, but I've been in the business, and I know a lot of you know this, like 23 years. I have made every mistake. I've made more mistakes than any success I've had in my in my years of being on this planet. But one of the mistakes I made was thinking that I needed to get a bunch more leads in order to make more money and grow my business. And that mindset, what that does for you is you start to find ways of making the best funnel, doing this, and then you get those leads in. And here's what the biggest complaint was in my business, which caused either non-conversion of those leads or getting those leads into my ecosystem, then being complaining about the process because my communication sucked, my process sucked, everything sucked. I got people to their goal. That was the thing I didn't suck about, but everything else sucked. So because of that, I didn't retain those clients for very long, right? So I had more chaos, more refunds that I had to do, more complaints, right? Because I thought leads were the answer. And so unless you can identify where you are leaking in your business, then leads aren't going to help you grow your business. Okay. So today I'm going to break down 3 internal shifts. We're going to go 3. I'm going to high level them for sake of time, but I'm going to start to deep dive in those as we go along through the social media journey together. So keep watching and follow me, and I'll deep dive into these more. But these actually changed everything for me, and I believe they'll do the same for you. And again, like I said earlier, at the end of this live, I do believe that you'll be in a place where you can see where you're leaking time, energy, and revenue, and exactly how you can fix that. So there are 3. There is clarity shift, there are responsibility shift, and there is a system shift. So those are the 3 shifts that I want to focus on today to help you grow your business without needing more leads. Okay. So let's dive into shift number 1, which is the clarity shift. And because none of these others that we're going to talk about today matter until you fix this one. This is the most important one. It's called the clarity shift. So keep that in mind. Make that, like I said, get your notebook out and write real big clarity shift. And I think it's going to be important. So clarity shift, kind of the tagline, if you will, is stop selling disputes and start selling outcomes. Okay. When you change what you sell from AKA credit repair or whatever else you're doing to actually achieving a goal, everything aligns. Your marketing aligns, your client journey aligns, and your team aligns. Everybody knows what the goal and the outcome of the situation for each client coming in is. The client knows. So everybody knows what the outcome is going to be for the business. Okay. So I'm going to give you some talking points. The number one growth killer in the industry is vagueness. Let me say that again. The number one growth killer in any industry is vagueness. Most credit professionals, financial professionals say stuff like, I sell credit repair. Let me show you my 100-point improvement. Um, but that phrase is actually meaningless to your consumers, absolutely meaningless. And then you have this very vague marketing strategy, right? Because basically you're saying, I help everyone. I do credit repair. I help everyone. But that is not your audience. Your audience is everyone. And your audience is not waking up in the morning saying, hey, I really want credit repair today. No, they're waking up in the morning and they're saying, I gotta get out of this place. I cannot stand living in this neighborhood. I cannot stand living in this small house. The ceiling's falling down, water's leaking all over the place. I want a home for my family with a picket fence. I want to have a dog. I want to do. That's what they're waking up to. They're waking up to, I want a better car. I'm tired of driving this car that I'm not even sure if I'm going to get to work on time because it's probably going to break down. It needs new tires. The brakes barely work. That's what they're waking up to. Or I just need help. I can't handle the phone ringing off the hook. And all it is collection companies harassing me, and I don't have the money to pay them. And I don't know how to get relief from this. I feel like a loser. That's what they're waking up to. They're not one time is the person waking up to going, wow, today I want to go call someone to help me with their credit, right? Or help me with my credit. They're not saying that. So why are you saying that? Why are you talking to your audience in that manner? That's not what they want. They may come to you because you said that, because they realize from their understanding that they need that in order to get this, but you missed the whole message. And so you made your message a service that you hold 100% responsibility for. Okay. So again, the number one growth killer in industry is vagueness. And I don't care what business you're in, it's the number one growth killer. When you sell the goal instead of the task, AKA credit repair or budgeting, you become the guide and people follow guides. Let me say that again. You become the guide and people follow guides. You're not the hero. You should never strive to be the hero. The hero holds all the responsibility for all the results on their shoulders. That's the hero. You don't want to be the hero. You want your clients to be the hero. You want to be the guide to help them become the hero. That's your job. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in shift number 2. But I think this is most important, understanding that clarity shift. You need to know your audience. You need to know who you're talking to. And you're selling an outcome, not a task, not your service, your outcome. And I've said this to you guys many, many times, and I hope you can really grab a hold of this concept. If you are in, let's say, credit repair, or you're a financial coach doing budgeting for people, that's one thing you do. In the ladder of all the values that you can provide for a consumer, that's one ring in that ladder. So if you think about it, I was a first-time home buyer specialist, right? So credit repair, helping people with their credit, was one ring in the ladder. And some people didn't even need that. So they might step over that ring in the process and the journey. But the journey was so much more than that. We might have looked at budgeting. We might have looked at debt to income ratios and did what I call the money game. We might have had to go out and get down payment assistance. Obviously, we were probably going to get the loan, and what's the best loan for them. Does that make sense? So your service as a credit professional or a financial professional is just one ring in the value ladder. So hopefully you can kind of think about that this weekend or this week. Sit down and think about, if my service is just one ring, what's the ladder? What are they climbing up to get to? How am I going to help them get there? And how am I going to make sure that they get there? This is the clarity shift. And this is so important. I became the first time homebuyer specialist. That's what I named myself. And I started getting leads from everybody. I didn't have to search for it. Okay. I didn't have to struggle for marketing and wonder how I'm going to get my next client, because I was known for that. And people started calling me the expert. I didn't give myself that title. They gave that title to me. And why do people give titles to people? Because they are proven to get the results that they say they're going to give. You can't do that if you are credit repair. I say this because it was said to me, you can't be great at everything, but you can be great. You can become an expert in one thing. You can become really, really good in one thing, right? And you can be known for that one thing. So think about that. There's not much competition when you have a niche. There's barely any. So think on that. So I'm going to ask you a question here. If your marketing, your onboarding, and team all point towards the same specific outcome, would your clients be more motivated? I'm going to answer that for you. It'll be a big yes. They will be much more motivated to want to work with you and go through the process and the journey. Because the journey's not always easy, right? Anything we do, the journey's not always easy. And that's part of the transformation that we're offering, is overcoming. And our systems and our processes, because we know what the outcome is, our team can align and we can all discuss how we're going to get this person to the outcome with the least resistance, with the least obstacles, with the least pain as possible. How do we help them overcome all these things that they're going to have to overcome? How powerful is that message? How powerful is to have those meetings with your team because you are all clear on the outcome? All right. So when you're clear on the outcome, you can measure it, you can celebrate it, and you can replicate it. And then you can say every client comes in and they're going to go through this process and this is their outcome. And then you can watch it, you can measure it, you can celebrate people going to that outcome. You can then, what I call, feedback and refine. Continuously looking at your process and say, how can I make it more efficient? How can I make it more automated? How can I make it the client experience better? How can I increase the retention rate of my clients? How can I increase the conversion rate? You get to focus on that, which is the growth of your business, because you know the outcome and you know the journey the client's going to go through, and your team knows, and everybody knows what has to happen for that client, right? Because please don't sell something you can't deliver. Please don't sell something you can't deliver. And if you're selling credit repair, you can't deliver. I'm sorry. You might have some special clients that get up 100 points, but how many of your clients that you're not posting that may have even lost points because they worked with you? And not because they worked with you, because you didn't shift the responsibility to them. So that's our number 2 we're going to talk about, is going to be a shift. But before we do the responsibility shift, but before we do that, I want you to implement something for me today. Okay. I want you to sit down and implement something for me today. I've talked about this before, so I'm going to talk about it again though. I want you to rewrite your offer. Okay. So here's the formula. You're going to say, I help who get to specific goal so that they can result. So I'm going to give you an example of mine so that you can be able to have an example that might help you. I help first-time homebuyers get mortgage ready so that they can finally move into their dream home. So let me show you that broken down into that formula. I help who? First-time homebuyers get to specific goal. What is their specific goal? Homebuyer mortgage ready so they can result buy their dream home. Does that make sense? See if you can do that. Audit your websites, your emails, your sales calls. How many times are you saying credit repair, budgeting, spending tracking, instead of saying stuff like mortgage ready, financial freedom, or approved? Okay, so those are the words they really want to hear. In Level Up Score, we have actually built in that clarity feature because I think it's so important, because clarity is so important. So every plan is defined by a goal. You go into Level Up Score and you pick the goal for your consumer, right? So we have four major goals in there right now. It's buy a house, which happens to be most popular, great functional credit, PG business funding, and we have buy a car, right? So those are kind of the top four things we hear most consumers wanting. So you get to select that goal. So now the plan that Level Up Score is going to create for your clients is specific to the outcome. So then we say, these are the things to do to reach this outcome that you want, right? And so we also have milestones. We also do success tracking because it is a change report. We congratulate them when they do something right. And then we also notify and inform them when something isn't right, right? So those are two very important aspects. The client sees where they're going and what's next. And this is really important because they want to see that. So let's think about it this way. This is kind of like my mind shift thing that I want to give you today on this specific clarity shift. Okay, the first tip. Clarity creates confidence. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence drives action, and action produces results. Let's say that again, because I want you to think about this. If looking at Level Up Score's action plan, you can see this played out really well. Clarity creates confidence. Client comes in, they say their goal is to buy a house. You have a plan from Level Up Score that says, buy a home. Here's the 10 steps you need to do. Clarity creates confidence. And they look at it, those are the 10 steps I need to do. You didn't just give me two, hang me on for another month and give me two more. You gave me all the steps. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence drives action. So now they're actually going to start taking action on the action plan that you provided to them, because that action plan you have helped them understand that's going to help them get to their goal, right? And action produces results. Okay. So remember that, because we're going to go into the second shift here in a second. But I just want you to understand that confused clients don't buy, disputes don't sell, outcomes do. All right. So next, just say clarity is powerful, but it only works if your clients actually do their part. That's where the next shift comes in. This is the responsibility shift. And this is super important. This will lessen your complaints by a lot. It'll lessen the workload on your shoulders. It'll lessen the sense of responsibility that you have for them reaching their goal. Okay. And this is important, but you also empower your client. You make them the hero and you the guide. You make them the hero and you the guide. They actually understand the process. They understand how they got there. And guess what? You gave them a journey. You're giving them a journey to get to their goal. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. So the next segment here that I want to talk about is the responsibility shift. Get clients to own their own progress. Again, responsibility shift. And I know a lot of you guys are like, what? They come to me and they want me to do everything, Allie. It's because that's how you positioned yourself in the beginning, that you're going to be the hero and you're going to do everything. I see your social media posts, guys. This person went up 100 points. What are you telling someone when you say this person went up 100 points? You're saying out there, they came to me, and because they came to me, they got 100 points. That's not the truth of the matter. They got 100 points because they did the things that you help guide them to do, right? And that should be your message. So if you want to post that they got 100 points, your message should be something like this. XYZ came to me to buy a home. And through coming to me to buy a home, we were able to tailor a plan for them. They took the actions. They did the things. I was the guide. And look at what they're doing. They're a hero. Does that make sense? So you want to shift the responsibility to them, not to yourself. Matter of fact, guys, let's just think about it this way. You can't do it. I don't care how good you are. You're not getting someone 100 points just because you did whatever. If they need to get a credit card, they got to get the credit card. You might have told them what credit card to get, right? If they need to pay down their credit card bill, I don't think you're giving them the money. They have to figure out how to get the money to pay down the credit card. You're the guide. You're always just the guide, but you're so very important because people need a guide. a great example, I like to use the fitness industry example because I think it resonates with a lot of people and it kind of clicks. But if I'm a personal trainer, which I am, if I'm a personal trainer and you come to me, there is never a sense that you're going to come to me as your personal trainer and think that I'm going to do your workouts and eat your food for you. You never think that, right? You never think that because I can't. I simply can't, right? So think of it in that direction. They came to me, they're going to pay me to do personal training with them for weight loss, but I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to guide them. I'm going to say, hey, I've done it before. I've helped hundreds of people get from here to here, and I can put a plan together for you. And here's the plan. Here's when you're going to wake up. Here's the workouts you're going to do. Here's the food that you're going to eat. It is a plan, just like what Level Up Score does for your clients today. It's a plan. And if we follow the plan, because I know it works, right? Because if I'm a personal trainer and I say, hey, this is what we're going to eat, it's because I know it works. I've done it before. I've had other clients do it before. So if we know our plan in the credit space works, then all we have to do is be the guide, give them the plan, help be the accountability. That's what you're paying for as a personal trainer. Be the accountability, show them how to do the things on the action plan, answer their questions about the action plan. That's our job. We're the guide. And I hope that the personal training thing helps to make sense of that. So you can take that big burden off your shoulders. The client will no longer ask you, hey, Allie, I've been working with you for 30 days and my credit score went down 100 points. Why? Why? You won't get that question anymore. If you change the responsibility shift to the consumer, you will never get that question again. Why? Because for them to ask you why means they have to face responsibility that they didn't do their part because you made certain that the messages you gave was that they're going to do the work. Just like a personal trainer. You come to me for personal training and you don't lose 100 pounds and that's what you wanted to do. You can come to me and say why. And then I'm going to reflect back to you. What part of my plan did you not do? What part of my plan did you not do? And then if you think I've had this, people are like, well, wait a minute. They're going to ask me, what are they paying for? If I'm not doing everything for them, what are they paying for? Have you ever thought about a personal trainer? Have you ever went to a personal trainer? You're paying them, I think I charge $250 an hour and you come to me and you're paying me $250 an hour. And then you're like, well, what am I paying for? I don't get that question as a personal trainer. I don't get, why am I paying you $250 an hour? I don't get that question. Why do I not get that question? Because I'm a personal trainer and you're responsible. I'm your guide. I'm going to help keep you accountable. I'm going to help give you the plan. I'm going to help answer questions. If you don't know how to do the exercises, I'm going to help you with that. I might stand beside you for an hour, a couple of times a week to assist you, but I'm not going to be there every day. And I'm not going to be there on the weekend. And the same with you guys as a credit coach, right? You're not going to be there on the weekend when they just spent $300 going out to eat, buying drinks for everybody. You're not going to be there. You're the guide. You're helping them make the right decisions. You're helping keep them accountable and responsible for their own progress. This is the responsibility shift, and it should be in all your messages, right? So again, like I said, on going back and looking at your messages for the clarity shift, you should also be going back to your messages and looking at the responsibility shift. Who are you putting the responsibility of results on? Is it yourself? Because you're going to fail a lot of people. Is it them? I really encourage you to think about that. So a couple things I want to talk about here. You can't scale if your clients depend on you for every result. When they take ownership, they become empowered. Isn't that what we want from people? We want them to be empowered, right? And that empowerment fuels referrals to you, retention from them, and results for them. When people get results, what happens? They tell everybody. They tell everybody. And for some reason, they don't just take 100% credit for themselves. They want their family, their friends, their social media or whatever to know, say, hey, I sat down with Allie and she helped me strategize the best way to get my message to my audience. Or I sat down with Allie and she helped me figure out a way to be able to buy this home. Figure out a way to actually save more money than I'm paying her for the service so that she's free. Right? I hope you guys are doing that, by the way. So think about that. They'll talk about you. They won't take 100% credit, but you are not the hero. You are the guide. So don't take 100% credit yourself because that puts the responsibility on you and not on them. So shift that onto them. When I stopped trying to do everything for my clients, I noticed something. The clients took ownership and they got better results. And most importantly, for us, because we don't want to have to worry about buying leads and figuring out the right marketing and the right funnels, they referred. They referred everybody they know. They did the Google review, which brought in all the leads, right? So think about that. When clients who stayed stuck were the ones I carried the most. The clients who stayed stuck were the ones I carried the most. They were dependent, frustrated, and unmotivated. And I want to repeat that to you. So, I decided I was going to reduce my prices to be really, really low to get more leads to help more people. And those people actually stayed stuck because they were the ones that I carried, right? So they wanted to see maybe a deletion that was going to give them 100 points, right? Or something of that nature. They didn't want to do anything. Matter of fact, I remember I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people, and I remember them saying stuff like, well, if I have to do that, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so do you want to buy a house? Yeah, I want to buy a house, but if you make me pay that, then I would rather not buy a house. Really? So you get to know who your person is and whether or not they're actually going to go through the program really fast. And so, again, shifting that responsibility to them, those who are stuck are the ones that you're going to carry the most. They're going to be the most frustrated, the ones that complain the most, the ones that are unmotivated, and the ones who are going to give you the 1-star review. Done that, been there, done that. I got 1-star reviews from holding someone's hand, from giving more of myself without having them take responsibility. The truth is, we rob people of transformation when we do it all for them. Growth only happens when they take action. Our job is to give them the steps and the guidance of how to get to the goal because we know, right? Level up score action plans, we know what they need to do to get to their goal. So our job is actually pretty easy. They don't know. They don't know. How many people have you talked to that went ahead and tried to do it themselves because they saw social media posts on TikTok or whatever, and they come to you and like, oh man, I could have saved you thousands upon thousands of dollars in time and headache and all this had you just come to me first. I wish more people knew about me before you took that action. You know, how many times have you felt that way about someone who went and did it themselves and did it wrong, right? I hope you have felt that way. I know I certainly have. And so our job is to give them the right guide, the right things to do so they can get the results with the least friction, the least pain, the least obstacles. That's our job. And I don't care what business you're in. That's your job. That's what you should do because you're hopefully coming from a place where number one, you know that where they're at and where they want to go, that you can get them there. And most likely, in a lot of situations, not all, but a lot of situations, it's because you've been here and you wanted to get here and you found a way to get there and you stumbled and you had, all these valleys and hills and, thickle bushes and thorn bushes or whatever you want to call them. And you create a system where you can take those pieces out, take the thorn bush out, take the hill out, and make it easier because you've been there, you've done that, right? That's what they're paying for. They're paying for the simple process, the journey, the transformation they'll get with the least amount of friction and the shortest time, right? Okay. Responsibility should be built into every touch point. This should be in your welcome call, your first action plan, every update and review, right? So, for instance, if I'm using Level Up Scores, my action plan, and I run an action plan next month, and it says that the person charged $500 on their credit card, which is the opposite direction that I need them to go. It's like the opposite of the action plan. The action plan says, oops, right? Then I can do a quick Loom video as my updated review and say, hey, XYZ, your goal is to buy a house. What an impressive goal. And I know you want to do this for your child. And I know how important this is for you. When you charge that $500, it set us back. How can we focus on that not happening again? What happened that caused that to happen so that we can try to fix that so that we don't have this happen again and we can start getting better and faster results to get you to your goal, right? So this is where I'm again shifting the responsibility to them. So if they lost 50 points and it's because they maxed out their credit card, we can express that to them and shift that responsibility to them. And we can help them, right? Because why did you max out your credit card? There may be a really good explanation for it. Maybe there was a medical debt, right? Or something happened. And then we can look at strategies and we can talk about strategies on how we can help fix that problem, right? And hopefully that's part of your job that you like to do is help people through all the obstacles they're going to face throughout the journey. They're probably going to have obstacles you didn't have too. So you need to know your audience. That's that whole feedback refined in your process, making sure that when a problem happens to a client that you haven't experienced, that you're able to study that and have that as part of the process in case someone else has that same obstacle. And you'll have a system for that. You'll have a strategy for that. You'll have answers for that, right? Okay, so I have some implementation, some homework. Set expectations early. Use a welcome orientation video or onboarding form that outlines shared responsibility. Like things like saying, here's what we'll do for you, and here's what you'll do for yourself. Saying, hey, this is the part, this is your part. I'm going to give you an action plan. This is something a lot of people love when I say this, and then they like to hear me say this. But clients will come to you and say, well, how long is this going to take? Great answer. Great question. I got a great answer for you. I'm going to create a action plan. I'm going to give you everything you need to do right up front. When you get that action plan, I want you to review it and I want you to be honest with yourself and come back to me and let me know how fast you can get that done. That's my answer. What did I do there? I shifted the responsibility to them. My responsibility is coming up with a tailored action plan for them. My responsibility is to help keep them accountable for the action plan. My responsibility is to help answer questions. My responsibility is make sure that the resources that I have in the action plan, which is already built in from Level Up Score, are going to work for them. That's my responsibility. Their responsibility is do the actions. Does that make sense? So I shift it always on them. So that question is easy for me to answer. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll tell you what I do know. I'm going to create an action plan. I'm going to give you everything you need to get to your goal. When you get that, I want you to review it and I want you to be honest and let me know how long it's going to take you to complete every action. Pretty nice, huh? It takes that whole weight off your shoulder. You don't have to answer that question because God forbid you answer the question. You say, well, probably like 3, 6 months. Well, the problem with that is that you're not in control. So how can you say 3 or 6 months? You can say it by maybe average person comes through my program. We've noticed that they get done in 3 to 6 months. They get done in 3 to 6 months, not I got them done in 3 to 6 months because I can't do it. So I take the pressure off of me. Okay, document everything. If you do use Level Up Score, it will show when the plans were open, what's completed, where the client is lagging. This adds transparency and accountability. So, really cool is you can see what's going on. You can see, are they opening the plan? Are they looking at it? Because we track that. We track to see if they open it. But then other than that, you can look at it and it says, oh, so-and-so increased their credit card utilization, or they got a new collection, or they, who knows, right? There's a million things that they could do. And we can then, they'll see it. So it keeps them accountable because we don't even have to say it. They're going to see it. Red, bad. Green, good. Very simple, right? And so they'll be able to see it. So they're not going to ask you that question, what happened? Because it's clear on the plan. And then that's going to make them own up to the responsibility, which a lot of people hate to do. So they'd rather keep that quiet and just try to fix it, right? But document everything. That's super important. Reframe your role. I'm not your fixer. I'm your guide. I'm not a credit repair professional. I'm not a budget master. I'm your guide. to your outcome, whatever that is. Empower through wins. When clients complete steps, congratulate them publicly, recognize and reinforce their responsibility, right? So and so just improved their credit score 50 points because they took action on the action plan. That's a powerful statement on your social media. That's a powerful statement to them. Or reaching out to them and saying, hey, and I hope you guys have, systems in place for success where you have staff or yourself calling clients up and saying, hey, just a quick call right now. I just noticed that you're really taking the actions on your action plan. You had 10 actions to complete and now you only have 5. And I just want to congratulate you. You're in the top 1% of people. Thank you. How powerful is that? Right? And that helps that retention and keeps them motivated. All right. So here's my mind shift quote for you. If you're carrying your clients, you can't climb your business. Let me say it again. If you're carrying your clients, you can't climb your business. Okay. So, again, once you've created clarity and you built responsibility into your process, you're ready for the final shift, shift number 3. And this unlocks freedom. This is what I call the system shift. The system shift. Okay. So let's talk about this for a second. If you're doing everything manually, your business is stuck at your personal capacity, especially if you don't have any staff. But I hope don't solve the problem by hiring staff because that's not the solution either. I told this story the other day. I was in a conference and I was talking to a few people at a table at lunch, and I made a comment that I know a lot of credit professionals that had a lot more clients than me, like significantly a lot more clients than me. They may have even been charging a higher fee than me because my fee is very modest, but I was making a lot more money than them for 2 main reasons. One is that my retention was really high and theirs wasn't. So that made me a lot more money. But number 2, and probably the most important, I had made systems, processes, and automation my core function of my business first before I ever hired someone. Where I found these people hired all the peoples, and some of them 40 employees. And I did that. I did that. That was part of one of the errors in business I did in the beginning is I thought if I hire more people, I can have more clients, I can do more business. And that was not the case. And one day I had a really good friend of mine. He's a multimillionaire to this day, but he taught me, he's like, hey, listen, I don't mow my lawn. I said, what do you do? He goes, I'll go out, I mow my lawn one time, and I videotape myself doing it. And then I ask if someone can do this job. And I don't cook my food because I do it one time, make a system out of it, and then I get someone hired to do it. The point is yes, he hired people to do the thing, but he didn't hire people until he created the system, right? And in a lot of our businesses, because of the nature of what we do, we can have systems, processes, and automations in place to the point we don't have to hire a lot of people. And I remember in business when I first had this idea, I need to hire so I can grow. I hired 4 people really fast. Okay. Before that, I had one core person. And really, she was all I needed all along. Okay. But I had hired 4 more people. The office is hustling and bustling. People were talking. There's a lot of side talk. People were sleeping at their desks. There was all that stuff going on. Okay. But one day after talking to this guy I just referred to, he was showed me how to put systems in place. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the software called Infusionsoft. I know Go High Level is the new program that most people use, but at the time Go High Level wasn't there, and it was Infusionsoft. And he showed me how to put systems in place in Infusion. So I did that. I spent weekends and nights just creating the systems. And once I got them in place, I started using them. And one day I sent all my employees home. So I met with them in the morning, said, hey guys, you get the day off, paid day off. Go do your thing. Send them all home. I was able to, through my systems and automation, complete all of their work that they weren't completing in a day, by the way. I, one person, completed all their work in one day through systems and automation. The next day, I called them and told them they no longer had a job. So I know that sounds pretty mean, but the truth is that you have to be a business person and figure out how to structure business so you can make more money have less chaos. Simple systems scale, complex systems don't, right? So I had made my business more complex by hiring 4 people who I had to babysit, who slept at their desk, who didn't show up on time, right? All these things. So before you ever hire, make sure you have your systems, processes, and automation in place. So if you're doing everything manually, your business is stuck at your personal capacity or those who you hire. Systems multiply results without multiplying stress. Okay. One of those employees I I kept and I fired him later because he would come in drunk all the time. And I had to go to court because I fired him and he filed for unemployment compensation. I had to go to court and he won because I didn't properly document that I made him leave and make him sign this document that he was drunk and I made him leave work because I didn't have the document. So you see what I'm saying? It causes a lot more stress. So again, systems and automation are first. So you don't need to hire 3 more people. You need better systems. Every time you repeat the same task twice, there's a system waiting to be built. Another way that I say that is if a client's asking a question, make sure you have a solution so they don't have to answer that question. You don't have to answer that question ever again, and your client doesn't have to have the question. Okay. And that's one thing that I really like about Level Up Score with the action plan, because once they get their update and they can see specifically what caused their score to go up or down, right? The red and green. They get to take ownership, number one, but they also don't have to ask you the question. You don't have to hear the question, why did my score go down? Clearly they'll see that, right? So finding ways, and we've built so much into Level Up Score to do this for you so that the clarity shift, the responsibility shift, and the second part, the system shift, a lot of that is built into Level Up Score because I knew how valuable it was for my business. And I know how I was able to drive my business and grow my business and scale my business and have less employees and make more money than most credit professionals out there, right? So this is something I want to gift to you. So think about that. Every time you repeat the same task twice, there's a system waiting to be built. Anytime your client has a question, there's a system waiting to be built. Okay. Your system should be visible to your clients. They should see that your business runs like a machine. They should know. They should see their journey. They should actually be able to refer someone to you and say, hey, you know what? One sentence. This is what she does. She will help you become mortgage ready so you can buy your dream home. And this is how she's going to do it. Step number one, you're going to get an onboarding call. Step number two, she's going to send you an action plan and a video on what you need to do and any questions that you might have. Step number three, every 30 days, you're going to get a new one. And it's going to show you what you've accomplished and what you haven't accomplished. You should have your system so transparent to your consumers that they can tell the person they're going to refer exactly what the process is going to look like. How beautiful is that? That takes all the weight off of you. You get a client, you don't have to describe that process, right? All right, so implementation. Here's something I'd like you to do. Automate the experience. So follow up reminders when clients haven't checked their action plan. So if you're using Level Up Score and you see in there that they haven't opened the action plan, you should have some type of follow up reminders in place to say, hey, I noticed you didn't check your action plan. Obviously, these are the steps and actions we need to take to get you to your goal. So I just want to check in with you and see if you're going to be able to look at that today, right? Or, how can we get together to make sure you look at that today? How can I help you with that? Should I text it to you? How should I do that? Okay. Because sometimes maybe they simply missed it because they were busy. Progress updates when steps are completed, and Level Up Score does that for you. So every 30 days, they're going to get a progress update, which shows what steps are completed, obviously congratulating them and letting them know if there's anything that they maybe they messed up on, right? And congratulate messages that celebrate wins. Of course, Level Up Score does that. We congratulate them as they're taking those actions, but that's something you can also have a system in place for that. Like I said earlier, you see a person that had 10 action steps to take, and then next month they have 5. You might do a quick phone call. Hey, I just want to say, hey, you had 10 steps last month. You knocked out 5 steps. Girl, check you out. I just want to take a minute and just say, congratulations. Thank you for working so hard. If there's anything I can do to support you even more to get you to the finish line, let me know. I'm here for you. Our team is here for you, right? It's just a powerful message. And then number two, you want to automate social proof. Trigger testimonial request after milestones, right? So I have a system in place that triggers that. I send out a one question survey. And the question is, have I earned a five-star service? And if they say yes, then I automatically have another link that goes out to them to do a five-star Google review for me, right? If they say no, I'll automatically send them a message that says, how can I earn this? And then they're going to get a phone call from one of my success coaches that says, hey, we got your survey and we realized we have not earned five-star service review from you. So we want to check in with you and see what can we do today to make sure you have five-star service with us. It's so very important, right? It's so powerful. So also use real results to attract ideal clients. We're talking about real results, not the 100-point increase, right? But how about they got the home? They got the keys in their hands, right? Because they took the actions to get there. So change the script, okay? Automate monetization. So like with Level Up Score, for instance, we have built in affiliate stuff, right? So if the client needs a resource, we don't just throw every resource we have just because we got an affiliate link, right? That's not cool. But what we're doing is when we build that plan, when someone needs something, so AKA, let's say they need a credit card, we're going to have the appropriate link there for them to get the credit card that they need because we don't want a client to have to search to do the things. You're the guide. You're supposed to give them the thing. For instance, if I'm in personal training and the person needs nutritional help, right? And I'm telling them what to eat, you best believe there's a link attached to that for what I think might be the best supplements for them. You guys have followed me. If you guys are following me on A Millionaire's Journey, you know that I talk about a certain supplement I take when I'm doing my fasting. You need to provide that to your people. It's important that they also know if they need to do something, where are they going to go and do that? So they're not searching and getting the wrong things, right? You are the trusted advisor, the trusted guide in the journey. But those are things that you can monetize on too. Your systems can literally generate more income while you sleep. While you sleep. Your client that's working a third shift, you don't have to be awake for that client working the third shift when they're ready to get off work and do the action plans. The action plan's already set up for them. They know what to do and they have the resources to do the things, right? It's so very important. Automate accountability. So weekly update emails summarizing what's done, what's next, or monthly. Please at least do monthly updates, please. I've heard so many people are like, hey, Allie, I send the Level Up Score action plan right to the consumer right from the beginning, but I don't send them a new one until like 3 months later. Why? Why? Is that fair? Would you like that kind of update? You should, at the very least, they know their credit report updates every 30 days. Provide them that update every 30 days. They deserve that. That's your job. You're the guide. If you go into personal training and you ask for a plan and you ask me to train you, and then I'm like, oh, well, we'll do your measurements and check in on your progress in like 3 months. 3 months. Why? Why not in 30 days? Why not weekly check-ins? Right? So consider that. But you want to build in some automated accountability. Dashboards show progress in real time. So, in Level Up Score, the plan will show like, here was your scores last month. Here's your new scores. By the way, here's how many points you went up, right? So letting them see that in real time is really important. Here's my mind shift quote for you today. Every problem in your business is a system problem in disguise. Let me say that again. Every problem in your business is a system problem in disguise. So think about that. Sit down and think about the problems you're having in your business this weekend and see, is this a system problem? Maybe you don't even have a system. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is maybe you have a system, but you haven't done the feedback refine process, which you should be doing all the time. So consider this. You have a process. You should be interviewing the people who went through the process, your clients. Hey, how did that go? In this journey that you went through for this first 30 days, is there something I could have done better? Were there any questions? Or were you like feeling lost in anything? Were you confused about anything? Those are great learning opportunities to then take that home and say, how can I make this better? And you should be constantly doing that. Constantly. It can be random. You just call one client up and say, you're in the first 30 days. How did that process go for you? Anything we could do better? Was there any moment of confusion? Was there any moment you're like, I really have a question, but you were scared to ask me? Right? How can I help make this better? How powerful is that in so many different ways? But it certainly will help you make that system even better and better and better. Okay. So we'll say that again because it's so important. Every problem in your business is a system problem in disguise. Okay. So I want you to just think about that. And the other one that I want to go back to, there's one other one. Oh, the same one I said earlier about if you have something you're doing twice, make a system for it, right? It's telling you, yep, you're doing the same thing twice. It's telling you there's a system that should be in place or an automation that should be in place. And then if a client has a question, if you're constantly having to answer this question, that's a telltale sign there's a gap in your process or system or lack thereof, right? So thinking about that. Okay, so let's wrap up all three of these shifts and what they really mean together. Okay. So, recap of the three shifts. We got clarity. This attracts the right clients. Clarity attracts the right clients. So, if your message is clear about the outcome and your message is clear about who's doing what, then you're going to attract the right clients. Responsibility retains and empowers them. It lets them know before they ever sign up that they're going to have responsibility. It lets them know before they ever sign up that you're the guide, not the doer. So think about that. You go to a coach, like if you called me up and you wanted me to coach you, we're going to sit down, we're going to strategize together, which I'm offering to anybody on this call. So if you want to DM me and say, hey, I would like a strategy call with you, Allie, I would do a 15-minute strategy call with you. Okay. Especially in terms of these three shifts. Where are you missing in these three shifts? Maybe you want to tell me what your message is to your clients, when you're trying to convert them into clients, right? What your social media messages look like, helping you look at those and strategize. So DM me if you would like that. So I'd certainly love to do that, and I'll send you a calendar link. So responsibility retains and empowers them. Systems scale the process effortlessly. When these three things, these three shifts come together, the clarity, responsibility, and systems, your business actually stops depending on you and it starts depending on structure. It stops depending on you and it starts depending on structure. Don't try to do all three this week if you aren't already having these in place. Pick one shift. Number one, I would say clarity shift, right? If you don't have that down, that's number one. I told you all the other shifts don't make any sense until that one's fixed, right? So pick one shift and go all in on it. Go all in. Get a strategy call with me for 15 minutes if we need to. Any of these, if you say, hey, I got my clarity shift, that one's good, but the responsibility shift, ooh, that's exciting. Didn't think about that. Can I have a strategy call with you, Allie, so we can talk about the responsibility shift? Or let's say you have clarity, you have responsibility, and you're like, I really don't have good systems. Or I have systems, but I've never done this feedback refine thing. Let's talk more about that. We'll do a strategy session together. So just DM me and say, Allie, I'd like a strategy session, 15 minutes. Tell me which one. That's going to be important. Which one? Tell me, what are you struggling with? Because it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes goes by fast. When I say you got 15 minutes, I mean 15 minutes, not an hour. But we will deep dive into that and get as much clarity on that as possible so that you can really run with that. Please do that. Please. If you have any issues with the clarity shift, responsibility shift, or that scaling shift or system shift, excuse me, DM me. I want to help you. We'll do 15 minutes, but you have to tell me which one. You have to tell me what you think the struggle is and what you want to talk about in that 15 minutes so that we can make sure when we get on that 15-minute call, we are actually doing something and not just chatting. Okay. Let's see. We talked about how if you're using Level Up Score, you know that we're embodying all three of these shifts right inside of Level Up Score. So that should, if you're thinking, oh, this really, I like the idea of these 3 shifts, and I'm not using level up score, that might be your indication that level up score will be one of the solutions to the problem that you might be having, to help to have these 3 shifts, make it a lot easier for you to do that, right? Without having to come up with your own processes and systems around that, if that makes sense, right? Let's see. So again, Level Up Score gives clients clarity, documentation, responsibility, and automate your system. So we're doing that for you. And if you haven't seen Level Up Score, you can always DM me and say, "Hey, I want to demo it." And I do live demos every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and every Wednesday, which is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to DM me, we'll get you that information as well. Okay. So again, if you want to see how this looks in real time and you want help with that clarity or the responsibility or the systems, DM me. If you want to see a demo of Level Up Score, DM me. We'll get you that information. So next week, we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to show you how I doubled my business by changing one conversation. Okay. So looking forward to speaking with you next week. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for being with me on Tuesday's Top Tips. And next week, like I said, we're going to talk about how I doubled my business by changing one conversation. So you don't want to miss it. I'll see you next